And welcome to One Nation Under a Groove. God bless America, One Nation Network. Damn it! Linda, who's up loud? Whose music?
I can hear it. Oh,
Linda. You're yelling at me about being professional. You're yelling at me about being professional, Linda.
Oh, dear.
What is wrong with you over there?
As you guys can see,
there's my girl.
One Nation.
Say hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Yell at Dirty for being professional. You're playing music over there.
Well, yeah,
Linda,
because I'm trying to make
who's
sure
up
we're all
loud?
together.
Who's
okay,
music?
so in order to do our watch party, go
Linda.
to Facebook.
Linda.
Go to post.
You're yelling at me about. Would you like to tell everybody who you're talking to first?
Yes, but first, welcome to One Nation Network TV. I'm one of your hosts, Lynn Brown. Sitting over here to my right, my extended right, is my co-host.
Your arm disappeared.
Did my arm disappear?
It did.
It did.
I am Dirty with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because of my wife.
Okay, and we have a special guest in the house.
I'm going to let you say his name because you know I'm going to butcher it.
I know, right? I might be as well. Okay.
So go.
And you know what we're going to do? We're going to let him introduce himself. So go ahead and put the camera on him, Dirty.
I did. It's already on him.
Special guest.
It's on me.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Elad Gross. Hello, everybody.
How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Well,
Look even better with that reindeer behind you right now.
I know, right?
It's just not my reindeer.
Linda, there's something wrong with your camera on the 3-shot. Oh, there we go. I
get me?
fixed it. We're good.
All right.
We are live. I don't like Elad, though. His doesn't look as good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
No, not on this one. On that one you are, but on the main shot you're not looking too shabby.
I feel good.
Dirty.
To you?
Yeah.
I'm going to kill Kenny.
Why?
Because it's a South Park thing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, there's my man Kenny Omega. What does he say? Says it's a shame. Dirty, it's a shame when you get...
Well, your guest looks more professional than you.
I know, right?
Okay.
He does. Look at him. He looks stellar.
Right.
You know, I got to do it.
Okay. So
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to show you up.
I don't care. This is how I dress all the time. Juan's a moron, so who cares what
I'll come
Juan
in gym
says?
clothes next time. I'll help you out.
There you go.
Now, guys, since we are live, if you'd like to do a watch party with this,
Yes,
so
I
what
do.
you do, you just go back to your page.
You go right
click
here
on
and go to
post.
start watch party.
Where'd you find that?
Right there. Boom, watch. Boom. Share to start a watch party.
One Nation Network TV.
Yeah, and watch this. Watch what else I'm going to do. Watch. I'm really going to get even trickier with it. So I'm going to go here. Wait, watch this. Ready? I'm going to put this. I'm going to go share. Share on a friend's timeline. And guess what? Since me and your friends,
Hey, we're
watch
friends.
this.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Watch this. Oh, look. There you are right there.
This is full service right here.
See that?
Right.
Oh, and then wait. Me and Linda are friends. I don't know why she's friends with me, but
I wonder about that all the
I know, right? Poor Linda. I don't either know why she's friends with me.
Right.
Why isn't it pulling Linda's name up?
I'm not sure, but I've already shared it.
Wow.
Because I'm already on One Nation shared, okay?
I'm seriously sweating like a fool.
Are you really? Poor
Yes,
baby.
I have a hoodie and everything. All right, who's got their phone
that's
going?
Me. Wait, that's me.
Oh, man.
I did it.
Elad, come
I'm only
on.
dressed professionally. I'm not actually.
Is that what it is? You only dress
I
professionally?
guess that's what happened. All
No.
right. I'm going to trust that this is going to work. I'm going to trust this.
Absolutely
I'm going
it
to trust the
will.
process here.
Okay.
There you go. So
You
we're
all got
alive. This is One Nation Network. Thank you guys for joining us. As I said, I am Dirty. That's Linda. And our special guest,
Elad?
There you go.
Yeah, I got you.
I will butcher your
Yeah,
name
he
about
did really
400
good.
times.
He lied. Well, just point to him.
I'm just letting you
Yeah, at this
know.
point, I got you. Don't
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, so, Linda,
Yes, dear.
there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
First, what a lot of people need to know about our guest
Okay.
that we have. He was an intern for the United States Attorney General's office.
Exactly.
Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, that's it was in the Southern District of Illinois. That's true. Back in law school, that's accurate. Yeah,
why-
I've done a few things since.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah,
Linda.
well, so right
Yes,
now
dear.
I'm actually running for Attorney General of Missouri.
Okay.
I used to be an Assistant Attorney General of Missouri for a while after law school.
Okay.
And since then, I left the office. I've been working a lot on community building work all over the state. I have a nonprofit. I work with kids. I've been teaching kids for the last 10 years. I know I look like I'm 12. I'm a little bit older than that.
Are you sure?
I gotta check the birth certificate to make sure, but
Okay.
last time I did check, I felt like I was pretty accurate about that. But yeah, so I've been working a lot on issues all over the state on dark money issues we see in politics,
Right.
on some of the criminal justice reform issues and court reform issues that we're seeing. And I'm born and raised from right here in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just been pretty active for the last long time, actually, since I was a kid, too. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Okay.
so
did you grow up in St. Louis area? You went to school
I
here?
did.
Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, so I grew
You
up
know-
in U City,
Okay.
and my mom was very dedicated to us getting a great education,
Mm-hmm.
and so we bounced from one house to the other in the Clayton School District.
Okay.
And every one that we left, they tore down after we vacated. So
Okay.
got an excellent education, loved the place to death. Actually had a chance in between undergraduate and law school to come back and substitute teach while I was running my education nonprofit.
Okay.
And still hang out with a lot of teachers and my classmates from there. So go Greyhounds for anybody who's listening right now.
Do you remember, did you ever have Martha Roper as a teacher?
Oh, I don't think I did.
Oh my goodness, I love Martha Roper.
Yeah?
Yeah, she was a student a teacher at U City.
Okay.
I want to say probably like in the 90s, and
Okay.
I was selling real estate at the time, and she had me come over and do a presentation for her class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
really
great.
nice.
See,
Yeah,
that's
she
fun.
was
Yeah.
awesome.
When you get
right.
people from the community to come in,
Exactly.
and, it's great. Yeah, it's actually something during the summer program I run. It's for a nonprofit I started called the Education Exchange Corps.
Okay.
But we put kids, kindergarten through high school, together in a room,
Okay.
and we divvy them up by grade level. So you have a group of kindergartners and first graders, second and third graders,
Okay.
onward, and they each have their own country on this
Oh.
big map. So we
Okay.
invented this game. It's a board game.
Okay.
And we hire high school kids in the city to work as national advisors with these different groups of kids.
Okay.
And so each year we bring in special guests. Some of them are elected officials, engineers, a whole bunch of different professions all over the place. And they come in and they talk to kids about
right.
what they can do too. And so
Right.
they see that in somebody else.
Right.
They think about how that applies in their leadership skills too.
Right.
But it's always great. It's a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
To bring folks in.
Not only did U City do that, but my son was going to Webster at the time, and
Oh,
one
great.
of his
Yeah.
teachers had me come over.
Oh, that's great.
You know, I
Yeah.
think it was wonderful
Yeah.
because we need to really, and this is my passion, is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Always has been.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the more that
Exactly.
we can get the community involved in anything that we're doing here in Missouri, the better.
Exactly.
So.
I agree
Yeah.
with that 100%. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're with the Attorney General's office. Is that correct?
I was. So
Okay.
I've been gone since the end of 2016.
Okay.
A lot of the work that I've been doing, I would expect the Attorney General to be doing. Unfortunately, I'm doing a lot of the dark money prosecution work
Okay.
on my own. I've asked the Attorney General's office to get involved. Having worked there, I know that they're supposed to do that.
Right.
Unfortunately, he has not intervened in the case at this point.
Now, at the present time, that would be, who's that?
The current Attorney
Yeah.
General? So until January, it will be Josh Hawley.
Josh Hawley, okay.
And then we'll have a new Attorney
He's an
General.
idiot.
My grandson's favorite person. Oh, he lost his mind when he won.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, Damien. Remember, he hates Josh Hawley.
He's
So
a moron. He's a moron.
When he won
The
over
dude's
Clara
a
McCaskill,
moron.
he lost it.
Well, so I've never met him in person, although
Okay.
I don't
during
think
the
you're missing
campaign,
much.
He did park his bus across the street from my house in the hills, so that was fun. He came out. I was waiting to talk to him, and he didn't stick around to talk to me. So
Oh, wow.
he left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the closest I've gotten to him
Okay.
in person.
What do you think about
I can't comment. On that.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the current climate with the last election, which was November 6th? A lot of craziness that happened there. What are your thoughts about
Yeah,
that?
I think that folks, we got a lot of craziness in general in our politics right now.
We
right?
do, don't we?
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm kind of wary about getting into all of that as somebody who's running for office because
Right.
I think that there's a lot more productive ways to do things, which focuses on solutions and actually solving problems, especially in an office like the Attorney General's office. I mean, who would think that that's going to be a political office all of a sudden?
Exactly, and I love Chris Koster. He was great.
I mean, the office used to get some stuff done, and it still does to some extent right now, but I
Okay.
think that there is a huge potential in that office to do so much good in our
Right.
state, and we're losing that potential every time that we're like, not my job. The buck doesn't stop here.
Yep.
That's not how Missouri is supposed to run. So
that's not how anything is supposed to run. But I'm
agree.
beginning to
I just
see
really
that
love
as a
Missouri,
pattern.
so, yeah.
I know, right? But not only in politics, but on these jobs. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's not my responsibility.
Right,
It's
yeah,
like,
go
really?
for it. Blame someone else
Exactly.
for the job you're supposed to be
It's
doing.
really
So,
crazy.
It is.
Now, when my co-host Dirty told me that we were going to have you on the show, I got really excited because we just had Kevin on the show,
Yeah.
and Kevin also local politician in the St. Louis area,
Yeah.
wannabe. So I looked up some information about you, Elad.
Yeah.
Okay, and I saw this very interesting article where you assisted a young lady that had been locked up. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that? Okay, great.
So when I left the Attorney General's office, I was I was at a local grocery store, and almost at midnight, and I see a friend of mine
Okay.
from law school,
Okay.
and she's a public defender in the city, an excellent attorney.
Okay.
She wins a lot of her cases, is doing wonderful work in a system that we do not give a lot of resources to.
Right.
Highly unfortunate. I mean, her work is great, but we need to do more for our public defenders in this, in this
I've
state.
heard they call them public pretenders.
Really?
Is the street name?
Well,
for,
yeah, I mean, a lot of the ones, I mean, the ones, they are doing wonderful work. She's gotten, great representation for a lot of people.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they have very little time to deal with all the cases that they have.
Exactly.
So we really need to support them as much as possible, and I think that our state needs to do a better job of that. And I was there, and she had heard that I left the office, and she said, "Hey, you got to take some of my cases.
Okay.
You got to volunteer." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." She's like, "You love trials. All they are trials. You just go do the work, and it will be great, and we'll give you training and everything else." So I agreed. I took a case. It was my first time
Okay.
at the workhouse in the city of St. Louis. Yep, the Medium Security Institution.
That's the one on Hall Street.
That's the one on Hall Street.
Okay.
Yeah. North City. And I go there, I visit. The first day, I'm not allowed to visit my client, who I have not met. And the reason is there's a lice outbreak. So they tell me I can't visit her. I ask, when can I? They say it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks. I said, well, trial is in 3 weeks, so that's not going to work.
Right.
They get back to me that same day, which was very nice of them, and they said, sorry, we made a mistake. We can definitely let you visit with her. We just have to do a whole cleaning process or something else. So they scheduled me for the next day. I come back. I visit with her. She's 18 years old.
Okay.
She's been in jail for 7 months at that point. Had not seen an attorney for 5 months.
Hold on.
Yes.
So she's been in jail for 7
She's
months.
been in jail for 7 months.
No
And
representation.
No representation, has had not seen one lawyer yet.
So technically, she was represented by the public defender's office.
Okay.
But like
Okay.
I said, the public defender
Backed
is
up.
underfunded, and this was somebody who, because other people were involved in the case,
Okay.
they had what's called conflict counsel.
Okay.
So they had to have an attorney who was not in the city, so like a county public defender come
Okay.
in, and it was getting bounced around from one attorney to the next, and then it
Okay.
got to me.
Okay.
Okay.
So I see her. She had not seen an attorney for 5 months. Had the biggest smile on her face, and was just so happy to see me. And I'd never met her before.
Right.
So I talk about her case. The packet is really thin, and I tell her, hey, I think that you have a really good chance of winning at trial. And she says, no, I mean, I don't trust the system.
Right.
I don't believe that that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm very worried.
Right.
I want you to cop to anything. Just get me out of here.
Okay. Right.
So.
Oh my gosh, she was willing to cop to anything.
Wait a second. So
Isn't that sad?
she was willing to just say, "I'm done."
She said, take whatever deal we can get. I just need to get out of here. I can't stay in here anymore.
Oh my
Wow.
God. But wait, it gets worse.
So it gets worse.
Right.
I could not see the case on. We have an online system in the state called CaseNet.
Okay, right.
And for the public, you can go on there. You can search. For attorneys, we have more access.
Right.
And I couldn't see her case online. And then eventually, my entry appearance was accepted shortly after I met with her that day.
Okay.
Which means the court accepted me as her attorney, and I found out why I could not see the case. It's because the charges had been dismissed against her 15 days before I ever met her. So she was sitting in jail without any charges against her, and she should have been released 2 weeks before I ever met her.
Okay, let's stop right there. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that if there's no charges against you, that you need to be released.
So that's what led to a lawsuit against the city.
Okay.
So it led to one. It turned into multiple. It appears that multiple people were trapped in the same system where they were in the city and they were held beyond the time that they should have been, weren't released. And the problem, that's a big problem. Another problem was when I finally was able to get her out of jail, they released her at 3 a.m. without telling me.
Yeah.
And they kicked her out to the street.
Exactly.
And it took me weeks to find her to make sure she was okay.
You didn't have any contact number for her or anything?
Well, so she was in jail for so long, she didn't have a phone number. The addresses that she had weren't the right ones anymore. And, it's thankfully, due to Facebook and some other social media, we were able to reconnect. And no one had even apologized to her. No one had even told her that that is what happened. They just released her and let her out.
Unfortunately, that's the norm, especially for people of color in the state of Missouri.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is this is where Dirty's gonna play his whole privilege
Privilege dirty role.
for being, a white male. But why would they have to apologize for? What's the point in that?
Well,
she got out. She should be happy she got out.
And that's exactly how they feel.
So why should they apologize?
Well, so she did get out. This is true. She was held on charges that never went to trial. She never had a trial, wasn't convicted of anything, and spent 7 months of her life at the age of 18, right after graduating high school, in jail. And then we wonder...
In a place that's lice infested, they had issues with mice. And remember, I don't know if that was the summer where they were almost having to shut them down because it was so hot because the air conditioner was broke.
Correct. Yeah.
Sickening.
Okay. And they actually, at some areas, they didn't even have air conditioning.
Exactly.
That was the first summer that they did.
Okay.
So I've even I'm currently working with some corrections officers too who have complained about the conditions there for years. Have worked there for 20 plus years.
Right.
And their concerns were never met because they got to work in that situation too, right?
Right.
These kinds of situations aren't good for anybody. They're not good for the folks who are involved, who directly have their civil rights violated by the government of all things.
The people we pay our tax dollars to.
Exactly right. Yes, the ones that they're paying their tax dollars to too. And if she was working, she would be paying tax dollars to our. There's so many problems wrapped up in this, and you're exactly right. When folks feel like they aren't being respected or their lives don't matter as much as others, it's not really all that crazy when you start seeing people taking more risks with their lives, doing things that we don't want them to do, participating in behaviors that shows that they don't value their own lives because we're not valuing them.
Exactly.
So,
and that's
especially for a kid who's 18 years old.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened, and that's how the Black Lives Movement actually started. Because they know that nobody cares.
Right.
Think about it.
I think what happened was, we were talking before we went on, that I was really involved in the emergency school program that was held during the Ferguson protests, where they closed down school districts at the time due to the protests, and we held school. So a teacher just put up a sign in front of the Ferguson Library. Shout out to the Ferguson Library, by the way. Wonderful institution. Because they just let hundreds of kids come in, and we taught them. Volunteer teachers, the community came out to do it. But I was there. I was teaching well before Ferguson, and mostly in North St. Louis City. And this whole movement that we're seeing is something that's been lying there for a long time, and no one's been paying attention to it. We have poor kids going to poor schools, and it's not just there. It's really all over the state. You go to any poor community, and you're going to see the same thing happen over and over again. And how we're not investing in folks, we're not helping folks get out of those situations, and we're not benefiting our country when we don't do that. And folks feel ignored, they feel neglected, their voices aren't being heard, and that's the problem that you have. So folks are frustrated, and rightfully so.
Absolutely. Wow. So with that being said, can you tell us what happened to the young lady? Have you had a chance to reconnect with her since she got out?
Yeah. So
is she doing something productive with her life?
We did file a lawsuit, and she has been working. So she's back. It took her a while to get back on her feet, and to figure out what her situation is. But she's doing much better now. It took a long time to get there, and she was set back a lot by that situation. But she's doing certainly much better than she was sitting in jail in the city.
So. I was just reading where there was an African American man that sort of similar circumstances, not exactly, but was just locked up for no reason. And then they dismissed all charges and finally let him out. He was in there for like maybe 4 months. And he goes, they do this just so we can lose everything. I've lost my job. Almost lost my house. Cell phone is not on because I couldn't pay the bill.
Right.
And this is what they do purposely.
Yeah.
You know? And the fact that this young lady went through all this, and I'm sure you let them know, hey, there are no charges. Why is she still in here? And nobody apologizes. They know exactly what they're doing.
I think
it's really sad.
Yeah, I think, and part of it is if you look at our government system as a whole, we've got folks who are really overburdened. We're trying to do a lot with very little.
Right.
And so I think, you know, there are some situations where somebody's out there and they don't really care.
Right.
Right? And that's a big problem. I think in a lot of times folks are falling through the cracks in a big way. I think that might be the predominant situation right now. You know, I at least I hope, I'm an optimistic guy. I'm hoping that there's not somebody at the very top saying this is what we want to happen to all of these folks.
That's exactly what's going on. I'm not optimistic at all.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I know that there are a lot of folks who want to do the right thing, but if you don't, you know, I played football for a long time, and if you don't put people in a, right?
No way, you played football.
Small little dude, but I did it.
I'm gonna. I got you just adjusted to where you don't have to get up on the mic.
Okay, thank you, dear.
There you go.
Okay, cool.
Love it. See, I love when she gets up on the mic. Love it.
He just likes to give me a hard time about it. That's what it is.
Hey, you know, whatever.
But you know, that is so disheartening to hear that an 18-year-old. Now, you know that's going to, in her mind, she's going to be so critical and so cautious of dealing with people. Right. You know what I'm saying? In different circumstances. And that's just really sad.
Yeah, it breaks your trust. It breaks your trust with a lot of people.
Absolutely.
You know, thankfully, unlike a lot of other folks who go through this, she had somebody who was there to help her and restore some of that trust. Right? So she's, you know, been incredibly responsive and talkative and conversational about that.
Good.
But you just imagine the number of folks who don't have that representation.
Exactly.
Who sat there. Maybe they took that deal.
Yeah.
Maybe they just got their case dismissed and then they locked out after months and months of doing it, and how they feel and what their response is going to be.
There was a story recently about a chief in Florida who, in order to get his numbers up, basically railroaded a couple of black people, black guys, and just said and charged them with crimes that they didn't even commit. So that way his numbers were up. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that or not. Yeah, but you know, like I said, as an African American that's been in the world for a little longer than you and Dirty, unfortunately, with the people of color, that's pretty much the norm.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Because I just noticed something.
Okay, of course he did.
Your headphones.
Okay.
It's banging against the table.
Gotcha. You had that issue last night.
I could hear
That's
it.
That's because if you had kept the studio like you did last week.
That's not it. That's not it.
We didn't have this issue last week.
No. Because you know why? Because it's these headphones usually go over there.
Okay.
And I have these. And I literally have to take this hat off because I'm seriously, I can't even see me on camera. I don't even have myself on camera.
Why?
Because I just don't care. You want me to put myself on camera?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Rudolph! Right here! No, right here. I'm going to pick Rudolph's nose. Tickle his little red nose. Hello, Rudolph. I am Dirty. Sitting across from me is the one, the only.
Lynn B. And I don't see you Dirty on the camera, so what's going on? Okay, no problem.
Just wait. Just wait. And our special guest tonight, which actually I like this shot better of him. Right here.
That's a good
Elad.
Yeah, there he is.
Elad for taking back Missouri.
You can see my nose turning red right now as we speak.
Oh, my God. Now he's playing with Rudolph's nose. You see what I have to deal with, guys?
I like this shot of him better.
Right.
Where it's the two of you. I have the two of you while you guys are talking.
Right.
I'm doing other stuff.
Right.
Sir, introduce yourself.
Yeah, Elad Gross again.
Elad, that's it. See?
Yeah, Elad, yeah.
Elad Gross, yeah.
I called him Elad.
Yeah, Mr. E works, that's fine.
So we're going to call him Big. From here on out, I'm calling him Big E.
Yeah, hashtag Big Elad on Twitter, so you can go find him.
Oh, are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter,
I have to follow you on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter, Big Elad, Bigelad.
Okay, great, I will do that.
And with, as my lovely co-host says, well, hold on. See, I am so far behind tonight.
I know, right? Because you
you
know why you're over there playing with that.
No,
camera.
I actually got I got 7 different screens going.
Oh, do you?
We need a producer.
Ooh, I told you.
Is what we need.
Right.
Hey, if anybody
So-
hears that out there,
Right.
But
Job applications opening soon.
No.
Oh,
If
no,
he
never
did
mind.
not
Sorry,
have that
take
to
that
play
back.
with,
Yeah.
his ADD would kick in. He'd
Right.
be all over
So
the
our guest,
studio.
we'll ask our guest, what kind of music would you like to listen to during the break?
What can we choose from here?
Well, acoustic blues, marching band,
Oh, we got some
children's.
blues?
Oh,
Wait, not
yeah.
acoustic. We got like some other blues or
We
something.
got blues.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
want
let's
some
go
blues?
just straight up blues. Yeah.
All right.
All
Traditional or modern?
Traditional.
Oh, all
right.
right. And
So-
man after my own heart.
There you go. And with that being said, we will be right back. St. Peters, Missouri. Go find her on Facebook at Stacy's Novelty Gifts at Mid Rivers Mall, and you can find her stacysgift.com. 636-278-1851. A proud sponsor of Universal Hot Talk and One Nation Network Television.
Let's talk about the discount.
Some reason. Yeah. Well, you know, you never really see me because I don't have hair. I always have my hat on.
So why are you taking your hat off?
Listen, I am seriously
Are you hot?
sweating
Yeah, you got that
like
big
a
spout.
mofo. I mean, I'm making Rudolph's nose turn red behind me. Damn it, I'm dirty. Sitting over there is the one, the only, my lovely co-host.
Lynn B.
And sitting to her, is that your
Right,
left?
that's my right.
Is that your right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's
My
no
left
left.
or right?
Oh,
I don't know.
No, this is right. Dirty.
What?
This is right.
Well, I guess it depends on the screen, but
This
yeah.
spins on the
Yeah.
screen. Oh my God, no! The camera messed up on him. That's
Okay.
not cool. I don't like that. The one, the only, the man, Biggie. That's what you're calling
Big
me,
E,
man.
Right,
That's
Big
right. Hey,
E. I
we're
know,
gonna do it.
right?
We're gonna call you Big
I
E.
think that's good.
I like that too.
I know, right? It's
We'll
pretty
get it
cool, right? Let me go to this one so I can fix this screen because it messed up. That kind of pissed me off. All right, so let's go back to it. So how long have you been practicing law?
Since so it would be almost 5 years now.
5 years, really. And what made you decide to go into law?
I've been working with kids for a long time.
Okay, now when you say kids, like, what do you mean?
Kids. So kids in the city of St. Louis. I have a nonprofit organization I started when I was in college to work with the educational opportunities for kids, primarily in the summer when those opportunities don't exist,
Uh-huh.
but also some like in-school work too. So a lot of mentorship work with kids, but I do a lot of teaching. So,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. So I guess I became frustrated with the system I was seeing because there's only so much you can do for a kid in the classroom.
Yep.
You know, kids, if they're hungry, they ain't gonna pay attention. If something's happening at home, there's gonna be problems doing their homework. So I kept thinking, like, what are more ways that we can get involved in making sure that kids have opportunity
Right.
in our city, but also in our state. And eventually from there, I figured, law school could give me a lot more tools to deal with some of those situations. And I've just kept getting more and more involved since then. So,
So you went from law school,
yes,
or you went to teaching,
I was in teaching first.
right.
Yep.
and then you went to law school.
Went to law school, and I was still doing that through law school too. I was
Okay.
running the nonprofit.
So when you say running the nonprofit, now how like let's say somebody wants to get into a nonprofit,
Yeah.
like how does that happen?
Like they want to start one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I help folks with that all the time. Just talked to somebody about that just the other day. But if you're interested, you find a passion, something that the community really needs, something that you feel great doing. You talk to folks, you find people around you, you bounce ideas off with them. And then once you're ready to start doing the work,
Right.
connect with folks in the community, see who's doing the work already, learn from them. And if there's a need, go get it done. So in Missouri, you can form a nonprofit corporation through the
Right.
Secretary of State's office.
Exactly.
And then if you want tax-exempt status, which a lot of nonprofits need for fundraising purposes and for donations, you can go through the IRS to get tax exemption.
That's that
too.
501c3.
501c3.
Exactly,
yes, correct.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you worked in the city with the schools, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
I just read a report that there is currently, are you ready for this, guys? 130,000 homeless kids in the U.S. Can you imagine trying to teach somebody who's dealing with that situation? Did you run into that?
Yes,
Okay.
many times.
Okay.
And in fact, there are folks who work with the city school district who deal with that on a daily basis. also.
Exactly.
Like that's part of their job.
Okay.
So it is difficult. We do have some laws right now on the books to help get resources to those kids specifically.
Okay.
It's really hard. So
Right.
I'll give you the first class I worked with in St. Louis City. It was at
Okay.
Lexington Elementary. Shout out to Lexington.
Okay.
Dr. Anderson was the principal then. Wonderful principal.
Okay.
But so she's walking me through for the summer school, and she's taking me to the kindergarten going into first grade.
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, we call this Boys Town." And I'm like, "Oh yeah?" It's like, a lot of boys in this class. We call them Boys Town. I'm like, "All right." She opens the door. I walk in, all girls except for like 2 boys. And I was like, "What happened to Boys Town?"
Right.
Well, we have a lot of kids. They start the year, and 50% of them switch schools
Yep,
because
'cause
they
they
moved
moved.
somewhere else.
Yep.
50% new come in.
Yep.
And I guess that's what happened over the summer. So that's what happened. There's a lot of, that's called the mobility rate. So we have a lot of mobility in the city.
Right.
I work a lot in the Hyde Park neighborhood.
Okay.
And with Clay Elementary specifically.
Okay.
That's
And-
where my son is student teaching at.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Yeah, great.
Okay.
So they just actually their principal just moved on to I think it was Riverview Garden School. He was
Oh, dear.
wonderful.
Okay.
But
That's
I think
a tough district.
Yeah, he's going to do the. He's really great, very good with kids
Okay.
and teachers. So I think he's in charge of their whole early childhood program.
Okay.
Dr. Payne, Dr.
Okay.
Lenore Payne, wonderful guy.
Okay.
So they have a new principal there. Things are still going well. He really changed the culture.
Right.
And got kids more into. Being a part of that school as like a community.
Exactly.
So it's really important, what the setup that you have around. folks to make them
Absolutely.
succeed.
Absolutely. Let me make sure my phone is turned down.
Yeah, I know.
here.
I did too. Okay, so
that happens.
we have a couple questions
Right.
for you.
Sure,
Okay,
great.
yeah.
So right here, Juan, who's a faithful listener,
Right.
He
One of our
actually
regulars.
works in the
Written-
education.
Oh, right.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you for doing that, Juan. Appreciate
And
it.
his question is what do you think about the right to work bill being reintroduced?
Yeah.
Now, as Attorney General, how much? Really, how much does a bill like that affect you?
The work that you do as the Attorney General?
Yes.
Yeah, it would affect me because I live in the state, and I feel very strongly that when the people come out to the polls and overwhelmingly say something that the government should probably do what they're telling them to do.
Right.
And that's the case here. The Attorney General's office, I think, should play a bigger role in terms of working with the legislature to get laws passed.
Right.
And I think specifically that those are in the areas of law enforcement, in the areas of criminal justice reform that we were just talking about,
Right.
but that touches on so many different areas.
Right.
So I think that we do need an attorney general who is more active in building that relationship with the legislature on bills in general. Right to work is definitely something that is within the legislature's decision, and so that's really a focus more there. So you had Kevin on here who was very much running on that issue too.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we just saw a huge number of Missourians vote on this issue and say we do not want right to work in our state. Specifically, that was all that was on that ballot when they were voting as the initiative. And they said it. They came out in droves and they said it. They got the signatures for it before. They overturned a law that the legislature passed against their wishes, which is just insane that that's even a thing that's going to happen. And now somebody in pre-filing, so before we start the next session, folks put their bills forward a little bit early. I'm actually working on legislation right now that hasn't been proposed yet. But someone just proposed that we should put right to work back into law again, despite that whole effort. So
now, see, Kevin mentioned that, I believe, when he was on the show. My fear is that they're going to probably try to do the exact same thing with the medical marijuana that they just passed, and with we talked about that with him with the opiate epidemic, that we need that, but big money.
Yeah,
pharmaceuticals, big money.
That's a great example in terms of like the process too. So when we just had the ballot initiative, the one for right to work was it was a referendum, the way that our system is set up, where it says, hey, these guys passed a law in the legislature, and the people are saying we don't want that law. Okay, so the law goes away. Medical marijuana and several of the other amendments that we voted on, those actually amend the Missouri Constitution. And a legislature is going to be harder pressed to overturn that because you have to actually change the Constitution.
Gotcha.
They can do some things in the margins in terms of what the laws are. So that's why a lot of folks, when they do these initiative petitions that we see on the ballot, they focus more on these constitutional changes because then it's harder for the legislature to go back in and change it, even though all the people just voted on it overwhelmingly. So
now, I know, again, I haven't seen this in this state yet. and
well, here we go.
If I'm wrong. Because I might be actually wrong, but I know up in Wisconsin, they're trying to, before the governor gets in there, the Democratic governor, they're trying to limit his power.
Correct. Yeah.
Did we have that happen here?
I don't know if we had something similar to that. We might have. Before, maybe.
What do you think about that? And isn't that crazy?
I think that is crazy. That's the exact word I would use for that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's overturning the will of the people because they literally just voted for somebody to go into that office and exercise that authority, and now they're taking it away. That's also happening, I believe, in Michigan too. And Michigan is actually a friend of mine just sent me this. They are making it illegal to even try to disclose dark money donors, which is a big issue right now in Missouri, but all over the place. Like with fines and penalties and jail time for trying to disclose the names of donors, even if it's like, and some, it might even be interpreted in terms of legislation too, and folks trying to change the law, which is crazy. But yeah, these there are some, and I think I want to say maybe last cycle we might have seen this in, maybe it was one of the Carolinas. I'm not sure if it was North
Carolina, okay.
Yeah, but somebody was trying to limit the power of an incoming officer because they weren't in the power of the majority in the legislature.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
So that being said, because we had a conversation before the election in November when I said, does it really make sense to vote? Do our votes really count? You know, and of course, Dirty gave me hell.
Oh, good. Dirty.
But again, when
she's
you
a
hear,
nut job.
but when you hear stuff like that, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Exactly
So
right.
let's talk about that a little bit.
So I totally agree.
Right.
One of the first,
Hear that, Dirty? He totally agreed.
Wait. No, I totally agree with that frustration.
Right.
Not with the I agree with Dirty.
Okay.
And that you go and vote. Hey, everybody, go vote.
Go
if you're
vote.
not registered to vote, register to vote.
Don't
Go
worry
vote.
if they
If you're not
overturn
registered
it,
to vote,
no.
you find me on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever the heck you are. I'll get you registered to vote.
There
We'll
you
get it done.
go.
We need more people to do it. And here's
Right.
what's really frustrating for me.
Okay.
So I'm running for office right now. It's very grassroots. We don't have all these consultants or DC types telling us what to do.
Right.
And it's been something that I've been really passionate about. We were talking earlier. I've been up since 3 a.m. just today working on this because it's something that I think is really important. I have just in the last couple of years had the chance to travel around the state a lot.
Okay.
And one of the first places I went to was Caruthersville in the Boot Heel.
Okay.
And the poverty that exists there, infant mortality, maternal mortality, the results we see there are some of the worst in the entire country. And it is not a surprise to me that when you have these issues occurring for generation after generation, and you have people coming and making these promises and telling you that, hey, we're going to fix the problem, and all of a sudden folks don't want to vote anymore because ain't nothing happening for them.
Exactly.
They're not being represented by their government.
Yep.
You know, when I started that nonprofit organization to work with kids in the city,
Okay.
first thing that I was told was by the lovely lady, volunteer coordinator for the city, and she said, oh, yeah, somebody else did this. I'm like, oh, yeah? Where's that program? Oh, you all leave. You all go. You come and you go.
Yeah.
You do your summer here and then you're out.
Yeah.
And for me, every time I made a decision regarding that organization, it's always been about maintaining and keeping that promise.
There you go.
And for the first few years, it was really hard to build up trust because everybody thought, oh, you'll just be gone. But the more that you stay and the more that you show that you are dedicated to what you're doing, the more you can rebuild that trust. And we really need that on a statewide level in so many ways.
Exactly.
So, like I said, I went to law school because I saw all of these issues converging at the same time. It's the same reason why I'm running right now.
Exactly.
And I've been trying to build that trust for years now, honestly, working for the state as a public servant, but working with kids too and families. And we need more of that work. We need to meet people where they are. And I'm hoping that folks do what Dirty tells them to do and go vote.
And
do what Dirty
Linda
says.
Yeah.
Do what Linda says.
Dirty don't like half the people.
You
we
can be
have
frustrated like Linda,
I'm very frustrated.
but vote like Dirty, all right?
Yeah.
So we have another question. It says,
Okay.
I hear a lot about law enforcement reform. How do
Yeah.
you think we can do this?
Yeah.
How can we get more black males to become police officers?
Yeah, that's another great question. I actually, I don't know if you all saw, but a good friend of mine, he's a state representative, Bruce Franks. He recently posted a video.
Okay.
We're trying to get Bruce on the show.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell him.
Please.
Okay.
Okay.
He's great. He's a little busy right now, but he's
Okay.
great. He was assaulted by police officers during a protest event in 2014.
Exactly.
And the video finally came out. And
Okay.
if you haven't seen it, I recommend that you do.
But
Okay.
let's say this, not all police officers are trash.
100% agree. And that's why the next thing I was about to say is that. Wait, hold up.
Did you see that look I gave you?
I made a very long comment about that video and
Okay.
about the need that we have, and we can do this also in the Attorney General's office. Multiple states have a civil rights enforcement division.
Okay.
Our federal government has one that tries to make sure that these kinds of issues are addressed before they happen. I've worked with I've represented police officers as part of the state. I've worked with I've trained police officers around the state, and the first folks who reached out to me after I made that long post were police officers. And they were saying, you're exactly right. We need to reform the system that we have because we need support. We need support so that the good ones of us are the ones who are still policing. And the bad ones of us aren't the ones who are out there doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
Because there are. And it's hard because you get into a system where it's not that different from teaching. You don't get paid very much.
Right.
You're expected to do everything and fix every single problem.
Yep.
And we don't support you at all.
Right.
The amount of like mental health stuff that occurs, both for, I mean, for police officers especially, but also for teachers and anybody else who's doing this kind of work,
Absolutely.
is immense. And, you know, somebody posted on my candidate page on Facebook. I really recommend everybody read that. She was a dispatcher with the city for 16 years and shared her experiences of listening to folks, some of them as they were dying.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the strain that it goes through you. So you have a choice, right? You are either an amazing person who's able to cope with this, deal with it, and still be awesome every time you go out there. You quit, or you find some other way to cope with it.
Right.
And some folks, they bottle it up, they get mad, they
Yep.
lash out at
Yep.
times, they do things they're not supposed to do,
Right.
and you get bad results.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of the folks who shouldn't be policing, and we've got to make sure that everybody who's in that police department, everywhere around the state, that they are supported and they are receiving the training that they need and they're receiving the community support that we need. But we need to rebuild the trust between police and communities just like we need to do with politicians and them too.
But before you ask that question, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, the President of the United States
Oh boy. Here we go.
is also talking about doing prison reform.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's going to happen?
I started out saying I was the optimistic guy here.
Yeah, you did.
So,
But
you
then
know,
you met us.
yeah, I'm staying. I'm staying. Hey,
Listen,
you know,
listen.
Jordy's right here.
I always say I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
That's because you guys are young.
See, here we go. Here we go.
And my experience, always remember,
Yeah.
my experiences are always going to be a little different from
Right,
yours.
yeah, exactly.
Because
And
of the
that's
color
the-
of my
that's the
skin
whole thing of the
and
show.
also my gender.
Two nations,
Exactly,
True.
right.
Two generations,
Exactly.
two nations.
Right. So I'm going to have to get
One
some black
nation.
women on here to, back a sister up.
Here we go. We got somebody that says
Okay.
amen on your prison reform
Okay.
and what you were
Good.
just speaking about. And so let me go with what Alinda said a little more. So as you being as people, and I'm going to say it because I'm dirty and I can't say it.
Do it.
How as you as being a white prosecuting attorney or attorney general,
Right.
trying to run as the attorney general,
Yeah.
the guy who's going to put what cases go what, how can a person of color like Linda
Trust you.
trust that you're going to do what's right and that you're going to do what could be best for the minority?
Yeah, I think, that goes right
That's a
back
good
to
question, Dirty. Thank
it's a
you.
great question. The institutional distress that we have in this country right now. It's not just Missouri,
Right.
It's all over this
Yes,
country.
yes.
And all I can do, the way that I deal with it, and like I said, I had the same issue when I started working in the city school, and I just got I'm going to give a shout out to Rodney Lyles too. I played football with him in high school. He lived in the city, and he was telling me just last night. He's starting a nonprofit. He used to play football, was really into it, and now is changing gears and wanted to talk to me about my experiences, how he could go forward.
There
And
you
he
go.
said, I was just talking to my mom yesterday, and I was talking to people in my neighborhood, and they were like, hey man, do you know that Elad guy? Elad's my name, but
Right.
you know that guy? And he's like, wait, what? And they're like, how do you know him? It's like, yeah, there's this crazy white dude with this wheelbarrow going around the city, and he's like giving out fruit snacks and voter registration forms. Man, he's cool. Like, he's doing work. You've got to put in the work.
You have to.
We have too many folks who are putting in words and they ain't putting in the work.
Come on now.
And so, that's all I've been trying to do is I think that, I really care about this state. I really care about the folks that, when you meet folks and you meet them one-on-one and you have relationships with folks, you start to care about people, right?
Exactly.
And all you can do, you build those relationships and then you get to work. Just go to work. So I hope that so far, what I've done does speak for itself a bit, but obviously we're not done yet. And that's why, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that we had more work to do.
Exactly.
And, we're trying to bring on a very wonderfully experienced group of folks. And when I say experienced, it doesn't just mean that you went to school for this many years, you're a lawyer or whatever. It's got to be folks from the community with real life experience too.
Exactly.
And we're trying to build that team. We are building that team. we have that team right
Okay,
now. So I'm very confident that we'll be able to make a lot of changes in Missouri. When you look at it on the statewide level versus like what Trump might be looking at on a more federal level, you could do so much in this state. And as the chief law enforcement officer of this state, certainly do commit that we'll dedicate ourselves to fixing the problems that we have in our criminal justice system right now. For everybody all across the state.
Right. Now, one of the criticisms that we've had of Josh Hawley, and I think you mentioned this early, is he became Attorney General for 1 year.
He made it 2. I'll give him 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah, he made it
Okay.
the whole 2, yeah.
And now he's running. Now he's the state senator.
He's going to be the United States Senator for
Yeah,
Missouri
he took
now, one of them.
Claire's spot, which I'm really upset about.
Ugh.
So, at what point do you say, okay, this guy's really just in it for the money and for what he can get out of it? How do we know, and what do we look for when we go to vote for candidates like yourself?
Yeah.
That actually might be in it for us and not
Yeah.
just for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where
Yeah.
we have no trust in the
Yeah,
system.
you're-
You know what I'm saying?
It's so difficult because folks, they'll all say the same thing, right?
Exactly.
They sound wonderful, and they've got messaging consultants from all over.
Right.
You know what we can do in this state, and some of the work that you can do is we've got what's called the MEC, the Missouri Ethics Commission.
Right.
And they have to file where they're spending their money, who they're getting their money from.
Okay.
Now, we do have a lot of dark money problems in this state. We're working to fix that. Just hold up. We'll try to take care of that as soon as possible. But look at where they're getting their money, who are they spending their money on. That tells you a whole lot. Like, your budget tells you a lot about the values that you have. But also, try to meet folks. So the more, we want to disengage from the process because we lose trust. But the more engaged we are, the more we get to know these folks, the more we get to meet them, and the more that we get a feel for who they are.
Right.
And, sometimes we might still be wrong. I could tell you all day, you ain't going to be wrong if you vote for me, right? But, you got to look at what that person's history is, what the work that they're doing, how they interact with you. Right now, anybody who sends me an email, anybody who's calling, you're calling me. You're talking directly to me.
Okay.
I've already got plans. I mean, I've been traveling around the state already, meeting with as many folks as possible. So I think access is really important. I think you look at the folks that they surround themselves with, and then you got to make a judgment call.
Okay.
And the good thing about this country is that we don't like them. Vote them out next time.
There you go.
We got a lot of people to vote out right now. I'm gonna tell you that.
But you're running into an issue, especially in the southern states, and I think we even talked about it here: gerrymandering, which is actually where they're kind of moving the lines, so that way they can get the people that they want in. How do you combat something like that?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's tough.
Right.
It's difficult. So the gerrymandering is every 10 years when we release the census, we redistrict the state. And the idea is you want to have equal districts of about equal population so that everybody's voice is about equally heard, right?
Okay.
One person, one vote is the kind of idea there. And so it's supposed to make us more representative. Problem is when you have folks who are in power, and oftentimes it's whatever party, whichever party is in power in that state, wants to stay in power, right? And that's through money. That's also through the redistricting process, and that's what we have seen in many states. I totally agree with you. We've also completely butchered the Voting Rights Act in this country.
Oh yeah,
gone
big time.
We need a lot of reforms on voting protections. But in this state right now, we just did pass Amendment 1. Okay. So we'll be doing some sorry, just trying to help. Some redistricting work here too. So that process will change a bit. We'll see what happens after 2020 census. And, hopefully we do have some reforms that are good in that area.
Okay. 2020 census.
Yeah.
This is the one where they're going to actually ask you if you're a U.S. citizen or not. Is that correct?
So,
for the immigrants?
Yeah, there was some talk about that. I'm not sure exactly where that ended up and if, that question will still be asked. It was one that had been, I believe, asked before and then was left off for a while. So it's possible that some of those questions might be asked. I'm not really sure where that ended up.
Gotcha.
But I know that conversation was occurring.
Now, before I ask this question, let me ask you this.
This is from an anonymous source.
Hold on. I'm not going to, before I go there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, so we talked about dark money. Now, for our listening audience, of course, I know what dark money is. Tell us what dark money is.
Okay, dark money sucks. That's the number one thing to know.
It does.
Dark money are anonymous political contributions. You don't know where they're coming from. They total in millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
We had so we have contribution limits on campaigns now. 2018 for our state was the first time in a while that we've had a contribution limit.
Okay.
In 2016, when Governor Greitens was running for office, when Josh Hawley was running for Attorney General, there were no contribution limits.
Right.
You could get millions of dollars from one person, and in fact, Governor Greitens received $13 million from a dark money group. We don't know who gave the money. We don't know who wanted that money to go to him. He got it from one group. He got dark money from multiple groups just like that. And when he became governor, he set up a nonprofit organization to funnel even more dark money into the process. All of that money, as far as we can, all the money that we can see, went to supporting the right to work ballot here.
Absolutely.
To opposing what the folks wanted to do in the state. So we had a huge dark money crisis here. I've been very involved in prosecuting that.
Okay.
The Attorney General should be dealing with it. It's
They're
a
not.
nonprofit organization
Right.
that was called a fake charity
Okay.
by a Republican leader in our General Assembly who
Okay.
investigated it and said, we need to do something about it. And no one did anything about it. They dropped subpoenas, they dropped investigations. I asked the Attorney General to investigate. Nothing. So currently, I am taking that case right now. We're in the Western District Court of Appeals.
Okay.
And we're trying to get at least some transparency as much as I can get.
Right.
As the Attorney General, obviously, the Attorney General has much more authority and the authority to do
A lot of that
so.
dark money comes from those super PACs. Am I correct?
So the super PACs are a little bit different. The way the dark
Okay.
money works, and it can happen that way. Dark money, they take a nonprofit organization because
Okay.
nonprofits don't have to disclose the names of their donors.
Right.
So they funnel money through that, and then they can funnel it to a PAC or to a candidate or wherever, or a ballot initiative, for example.
Wow.
So I'm actually writing right now. I'm writing legislation to propose, and I've got some support on that. So it should be proposed. I don't know if it will pass. I hope so. To ban dark money, so we would actually see the folks who are donating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we do have a question from one of our listeners. Now we talked about the correctional system, the prison
Yes.
reform. So his question was, do you know about them taking money away from corrections and giving it to other departments and not having training equipment and materials to train corrections officers?
So-
and I'm sure you probably saw that when you worked on this young lady's case
Well,
down at
even before that, so
He was
when I worked with the Attorney General's office,
Okay.
a lot of the work I did was with prisons all throughout the state.
Okay.
So I visited quite a few, and you can look right now. There's the Missouri Accountability Portal. It's another website,
Okay.
a map, and you can see the salaries of public employees. And if you look at the salaries, first you'll see that mine was very low. Second,
and it's
you'll
I'm sorry, Missouri Accountability.
a portal, Missouri
okay.
Accountability Portal. Yes,
We'll put that on our
It's
website,
public.
guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a transparency thing.
Okay.
You'll see that mine was very low. You'll see that mine wasn't the lowest in the state. That in fact we had people making $20,000 working in corrections in this state.
Wait,
That's-
stop.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep.
Yep.
We-
You can look
we
right
have-
now. You can look it up right now.
We
if you
have
want.
correctional officers
Making what they make at less than McDonald's.
making $20,000 a year.
Yep.
That's
Some
what
social
you're
workers.
saying.
Yes,
Wow.
we have folks who are making very little money, and it's oftentimes a very dangerous job. And you hope that things work out. That's the system that we have right now. That's not the system that we should have. We've got a lot of folks in jail, a lot of folks in prison. For example, the young lady that I was representing,
Right.
she was only there. She would have been released had she had the whatever, the $500 it was to get out, to post your bond.
To post bond for something she wasn't even charged with a crime with.
Well, she was charged, but eventually
Originally,
the
but
charges
they
were
tried.
gone,
Right.
and then they just kept her there. They just left her there. They didn't release her. So
'cause they really
that was
don't
another
care.
problem. But like even at the beginning, like there are folks, and there are areas right now in our country. Washington D.C. has done this for a long time, where they do more of a risk assessment
Okay.
to see if that person is, for our security purposes, should be staying in jail before we do a trial or something. But here it's just like we're slapping money on, and if you don't have the money, you're stuck. Release.
Exactly.
So it's the folks without money who are
Right.
getting screwed the most. And you can look. There was a series of articles in the Post-Dispatch, a lot of them written, I think, by Tony Messenger did them, from all over the state.
Okay.
Jail systems that were acting just like the ones we're seeing in the city.
Oh,
But we don't
absolutely.
talk about them because they're in more rural areas. There's not enough
Right.
people there.
Oh, right.
So folks who are held in jail because they can't afford. And that's it. That's the only reason.
And they're
that's just
for
wrong.
minor offenses. They're not for like
exactly
killing
right.
people. They're like traffic stuff.
Yeah.
I was reading just recently. There was a young black lady that was headed to Kansas City from
Yep.
St. Louis and went through one of the rural areas and got stopped for speeding.
Yep.
Guy gave her a ticket, sent her on her way.
Yep.
Of course, she forgot to pay the ticket, so they put a warrant out for
Right.
it, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you. Once you get caught up in the system, being
exactly
black,
right.
your ass is grass.
You're exactly right. You're exactly
And so, okay, so she made arrangements to go back there and paid it. She went back and got paid, took care of that.
Yeah.
She had to go to court. The judge there, the rural white judge, female judge, decided you need to do 6 months in prison
Yeah.
because you missed your date,
Right.
even though she came and took care of it.
Right.
And so she said, well, okay, it's going to be a hardship to do it in Kansas City or in this rural area heading towards. She said, can I do it in St. Louis? No.
Uh-huh.
So she did it every weekend, and
Wow.
then one time she was late, and she came and made the time up, and then they were like, and the prosecutor was like, let's just let her go. And the
Yeah.
judge was like, no, she needs to do
Wow.
more time. They were going to extend her time. That's the mindset.
Yeah.
And the sad thing, and this is why there's so much distrust among
Yes.
people of color
Yeah.
with the judicial system. We see this crap all the time. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be down in a rural area. It can happen right here in St. Louis County.
You're exactly right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I actually got stopped by a cop back in the I think this was it was in early 2000 in the Maplewood area, because I grew up in the Maplewood Richmond Heights area. I was over there visiting my mom, and when he pulled me over, he was trying to find a reason to say why he pulled me over, other than the fact that I was black. So he tells me, he goes, your front tag is missing. I said, no, my front tag's not missing. So I opened the door to get out. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to check my tag. I just checked it. My tags are on there. And so he tried to slam the door on me. I got out. I said, you don't see that tag? He still gave me a ticket. This is the kind of bullshit we deal with here in St. Louis.
And you know what?
And we are adult content, so yeah, I can say that.
It connects the Attorney General's office each year.
Okay.
And this would be something of interest to you. Releases a vehicle stops report.
Really?
And it shows the racial breakdown of the folks who
Okay.
are stopped
Okay.
and whether they're eventually arrested.
Right.
And what happens, right?
Okay.
And year after year after year, it shows that by a huge amount, black people are getting stopped way more.
For stupid stuff, little minor stuff.
And every time it happens, right? The report comes back out, and it gets worse. It's worse. Sometimes maybe it fluctuates a little bit, but it's getting worse. And the Attorney General doesn't do anything about it.
No.
Like, I understand that you need. It doesn't say in the statute or in the regulation that, now you can go and do something. If you're going to keep calling yourself the chief law enforcement officer of the state, pretty sure you can call a meeting of the other law enforcement officers of the state and figure out a way to fix this problem, right? And it just like being inactive and pretending like it's not my problem. We just talked about this before, and it keeps coming up. When you're trying to pass the buck to somebody else, that's this is the system we get. And this is the system we deserve much better than this.
Absolutely.
Much better.
Absolutely.
And we should get it.
Right.
Well, since you're yelling at me, always being professional, Dirty, we're 4 minutes over.
No, it's 8:04.
Yeah. You said we're going to take breaks every 30 minutes.
Okay,
Dirty.
so let's take a break.
This is One Nation.
I'm sorry, the conversation is so interesting,
I know, that's
Dirty.
why I'm just sitting back.
Yeah, you are.
And looking at Rudolph, and I'm just like, I'll let Linda do her thing.
Because this is definitely my passion.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the One Nation Network TV. I am Dirty. Sitting across from me over there is my girl.
Lynn B.
And sitting right here, I'm going to call it now.
Yep. Big E.
You know what happened when I called it the last time, right? 2020.
Okay, right.
2020.
Yeah, you did.
The newly elect
Attorney General.
Big E.
Make it happen.
Absolutely.
Make it happen. Elad Gross, yeah, it's Elad Gross. Vote for me, man.
Elad Gross,
yeah,
all
just
right.
do it.
Hey,
Get it done.
he's definitely got our back.
Get it
You know
done.
what I'm saying?
And make sure you check out our sponsor, Stacy's Novelty Gets There in Mid Rivers Mall. And with that being said, guess what, Linda?
What's that, hon?
We will be right back.
All right.
This is One Nation Network TV. I am Dirty. That promo you saw there was my lovely co-host Lynn B, who hosts the show Sunday Brunch right here on One Nation Network TV every Sunday from 3 to 3:30. Make sure you go and check that out. And of course, I am Dirty. Sitting over there is the one, the only
B.
And then sitting right next to her is the man of the hour, really.
Absolutely.
The future Attorney General in 2020, Biggie himself.
Elad Gross.
See,
All right.
Hi, everybody.
I like how I don't butcher his name.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice of me?
I like how you just pass it over to
I just
him.
pass the buck. He's been saying all night, passing the buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passing the buck.
Yeah.
So
You're doing a
Dirty's
good
going
job.
to do? Dirty's just going to
Pass the buck.
over to Biggie. I'm
Doing a
just
good
going to
job.
pass
Right.
over the buck to Biggie is what I'm going to do.
Right.
We've had a lot of... I've kind of backed up
Okay.
on this, and I've let you kind of take in the realms on this.
This is my passion.
It is, and
Right.
it is, and I actually think he'd be a really good guest for your Sunday brunch show.
Absolutely. Right.
With a lot of the stuff,
Right.
in the social issues that we talk about.
Right.
Does it come with brunch?
I get so
I'll
many
bring-
people that ask me that.
I'll bring it.
The only thing about it, Dirty, is I actually broadcast out of my house.
That's true.
Right.
Well, we can
because
Google Hangout.
Yeah. Oh,
You could do the Google Hangout.
you can do the Google Hangout.
with
Okay.
them. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Right.
So what I've noticed is, in Biggie, how you say your name again?
A lot.
A lot.
I
wanna make sure
know,
I got
it's
it
going to be
right.
hard. ELAD. It's Dale backwards. You know that?
It really
You
is.
figured it out? No, I just saw it.
ELE.
Yeah.
It really
See,
is.
that shows you-
I grew up off of Dale Avenue in Richmond
Oh, yeah,
Heights.
all right.
That
There you
shows
go.
you how much of a simpleton Dirty is. Because I just looked, I was like, oh, it is Dale
Oh, yeah.
backward.
Oh.
Eli.
I like that though. I like
Yeah.
that name.
So where I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. I grew up in Peabody Projects.
Sure. Okay.
My grandparents have owned a house in Washington Park since I've been 42 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So my outlook on how things are in the community is totally different than the majority of white people. And what I'm starting to notice, and you tell me if I'm mistaken and I'm seeing this wrong, but it seems there's starting to become a trend now after the whole of the shootings of black men and all of that. There's starting to become a trend of white America, a percentage of white America finally starting to stand up and say enough is enough. We need to stop this bullshit, and we need to help our fellow man out. Are you seeing
Yeah.
that trend?
Yeah, I think we're seeing it. We're seeing it a lot in this city. I mean, we're seeing it a lot in the St. Louis area. I honestly, I traveled. I remember it was in Clinton, Missouri, on the other side of the state, a bit south from Kansas City. And that's all folks wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. They want to talk about the issues that were happening in St. Louis, the protests,
Right.
The issues with police-involved shootings. This affects so many folks, and I think there are folks all over the state. I keep kind of thinking back to this. We talked about the corrections officers' salaries, and I keep thinking back to Martin Luther King. Dr. King was in a prison cell,
Right.
and he's writing one of his essays, and he says these guards come up to him, and they're all just like, "What are you doing? You're just causing problems and all of this." And he's taking this for days, and then eventually he asks them, "How much are you all making to do this? How much are you all making to jail me and to police doing this policing?" And they told him the salary, and he never said what it was in the essay. And he said, yeah, after hearing how much you all are making, you all should be coming and protesting with us." Which is exactly right.
We talked about that with Kevin.
It's exactly
right.
right.
Yeah.
This is the key to getting big change in Missouri, and what's really cool is to see the folks who are donating and supporting this campaign right now. They come from this.
Right.
It's a combination of folks who are all in the same boat, whether you're black, white, anything else. If you don't got money, you're getting screwed in this state, right?
Right.
And these folks, if we can get people to just see for a moment, see past these divisions that other people are throwing on us,
Right.
to make sure that we can't get anything
Exactly.
done. See, this is where we're going to agree on,
Oh,
right?
this is what
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
literally,
We talk
this-
about that all the
That's
time.
why this
don't
show
we?
is called One Nation.
There you go.
See,
See,
you
you
got
got
I got
it.
it.
Exactly.
And that was the thing. That was one of the reasons why we started this show.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
because we really started this show. I was sitting. It was the Bill Cosby verdict,
Right.
Or the Bill Cosby
I hadn't
was
even
just
met
being
him.
indicted. We hadn't been divided,
Right.
But we just talked on the phone a couple
Yeah.
times.
Right.
We were at Ferguson, and I was actually talking to another guy. We were actually going to go up and broadcast
Right.
at Ferguson an ESPN game
Uh-huh.
or the ESPN draft.
Okay.
was going
sure.
on.
Yeah.
Linda goes, hey, I really want to get into the studio. I'd really like to do something on this Bill Cosby thing. I'm like, she goes, but I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm like, if you want, I'll meet you up there. She's like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I was like, you let me worry about the talking. You just give me the topics.
Right.
We went up there and it blew up.
Yeah.
And then that's when we started talking, saying, hey, because, it made a big hit. So we're like, you look at us, I'm a 42-year-old white male. She's a 60, I'm not going to say her name.
Right. Thank you, Dirty.
She's a
Mature.
But
He is so bad.
and then when we started talking, it was weird because people were like, wait a second.
Right.
When I started agreeing with a lot of the issues that she was bringing
Right.
up, and I started seeing it, and then I would say, well, here's how we see it as white America.
Right.
And then she'd say, well, this is how we see it as black America.
Yeah.
And we started to sit down and we started to talk these problems through.
Yeah.
So we started to see this impact. So then that's what's grown into this.
Exactly.
We've had plenty of conversations, and we basically our year anniversary was just at the Bill Cosby verdict.
Wow.
Well, no, our year anniversary will be April the 26th, 2 days after my birthday.
Yeah.
I met this guy, and we started that. Right. You're talking about after the
Yes,
sentencing.
the sentencing
Right.
was
right.
our actual
Yeah.
1 year anniversary.
No, our anniversary was the verdict.
was the verdict.
Right, that he was guilty.
Was he
Then we
guilty?
did another show to talk about the sentencing, remember?
Right, yeah.
Exactly. So
So-
our anniversary will actually be April the 26th.
That's right.
2 days after my birthday. Do not forget that, because I am expecting something nice. All right.
Great. Great. Thanks
you
a
talked
lot.
yourself
You heard
in
it here
that.
first. You heard it
Thanks
here
a lot. Thanks a lot, Big E. See what you got me into?
I really facilitated that
Right.
one. Yeah.
Good job.
But one of the things that we always talk about, because we didn't know each other, I had no clue. Like he said, we maybe text each other when I was having some technical issues at the other studio, and then we talked a couple of times. But once we started talking and just getting to know each other, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we talk every day.
Right.
5 or 6, 8 times a day?
Yeah. And it's always about the show. We're
Yeah,
always like, this is
yeah.
what we want to do.
Right.
So, my question is we see this. It's sad that it's 2018.
Yeah.
And that a grown man. How do we change that for the black male, the black community at age 2018, that they have to fear to walk out of their house to go
Yeah.
to work?
Right.
Yeah.
They have to fear to go to their job.
Yeah.
They have to fear that they might not come home.
Yeah.
How do we change that as white America? How do we change that for the black community? You, especially
Good
being in
question.
that attorney general spot,
Yeah.
how do you help make that change?
Yeah, there's a ton of work to be done.
It is.
Right? And, a lot of folks are going to come up and they say, oh, here's this fix and we're going to do this. I can't tell you how many community meetings I've been to. We talk about changing policing or whatever else it is. How many of them I've been in, and where are the actionable steps? Like, what do we do, right?
All they do is talk.
All I do is talk, and talking is an important first step, right? Like you two, the story you all, that's a great example of like bringing folks together,
Exactly.
right? And you don't get any solutions until you bring people together,
Exactly.
We've had some very uncomfortable conversations,
which is important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's got to be
but
uncomfortable.
we always got past it.
Right.
We always found a resolution.
Yeah,
in those
absolutely.
uncomfortable-
Right.
We don't always agree, but just like I told him,
Yeah.
we agree to disagree and
Yeah.
move forward. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He might not agree with like the whole voting thing.
Right.
Okay, I don't
Right.
hold it against him.
Yeah,
Oh
that's-
my God, he just
She
wants
is
me to
a
vote.
nut
You know what I'm
job,
saying?
nut job if she
Yeah.
doesn't vote.
But you know what, Dirty? Here's another question that I'd like to ask both of you guys. What do we do to try to, and it's, I can't even say just white America, because you've got black Republicans that do the same thing. Why would you vote for somebody that's wealthy and does not have your best interests in heart? And we see that, especially in the rural areas. Do you notice that too? Like when you went to Carruthers.
Yeah, I think that you see. We're seeing it right now. We just talked about right to work, for example.
Right.
And the people passed. I think Josh Hawley, when he was in a debate with Claire McCaskill, said that people have spoken. Even he said that.
Yep.
The person who's going to take a leadership role now in the state senate said the same thing. But somebody is still trying to do it, despite people not wanting it. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem. Some of it's informational. Some of it is, you get used to being on a team. You think your team is the way to go, and we don't want to see past that. We don't want to see past Republican, Democrat, whatever the heck else it is.
Right.
It's a big problem, and we really need to get past just like focusing on so much on these parties.
Yes,
and
division.
who's doing what for the other. I mean, like the first time someone calls me, some reporter calls me up and says, "Hey, I see you're running for Attorney General. What party are you running for?"
Yep.
And my response was, "Who cares?
Right.
Read what I'm talking about."
Right.
He starts laughing. He's like, "Okay, but for real though." Yeah.
And they're serious about that.
Yeah.
Because they're so stuck on labels.
Yes.
Everything has to be labeled.
Yeah, and it makes a categorization of whatever. But I do want to answer because I don't think I got to the whole thing about what you were talking about,
Okay.
which is that folks are literally afraid to go up to send their kids to school, right? I think that so many times, I don't know how, this could be a criticism even going back before Attorney General Hawley. We don't see those chief law enforcement officers going into the community all that much.
No.
Where's like the interaction? Where are you going to the schools? Where are you doing these? I know they hold these special task forces or whatever, but we really need somebody who is willing to like spend all of that time, not running for another office, but going and
I love that.
going and looking for folks. And I mean, like that's important work to do, and that's what running for office really should be. It should be community service work. It should be building these solutions, and it should be working with folks, using your authority, your privilege in many instances, to find solutions to those problems. And I'm hoping that the next generation of folks who are getting involved in government, I think we might be seeing that now, are really into doing that, doing the work. Sometimes it's cyclical, right? You get to a point, and then people get lackadaisical, and
burnt out,
complacent, right? And then all hell breaks loose, and then we gotta go fix it. So we gotta go fix it. Now's time. We gotta go fix it.
Another thing that Kevin and I also had my cousin LaShonda Howard Fields on the show last week. She was actually instrumental and was actually interviewed by NPR because she was picking up people and taking them to the polls, dropping off those that couldn't get a ride.
Great.
And we talked about how we need to have people like yourself, people like Kevin, people like Wesley in office to make a difference. Okay. A lot of these old heads, they got to go. If you don't know how to work the internet, if you don't have an email account, you need to go. You do not need to be in office because we need progressive thinkers on here. Again, I think you would be great, and I really hope my cousin is listening to this because I think that she would be really great in local office, and then just moving up. You know what I'm saying?
More people got to
we have to
go out there and
exactly.
go do it. Yeah,
just do it.
Yeah,
the
do
Nike,
it.
just do it.
That's right.
Go do it. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Okay.
So let's go back to, because I mean it seems like the hot issue has been the prison reform.
Yeah.
That a lot of people have been asking.
Yeah.
So as running for Attorney General, you have to know a certain breakdown of stuff like that, right?
Sure.
So, I've talked to some people that I know. Wesley even mentioned it.
Yeah.
When he was on the show. Is it really true that the majority of the people, like a good percentage, I can't remember the exact number that he said, is that a lot of those people are locked up due to back child supports?
There are a lot of folks, and it's I mean, you can even expand it to non-violent crimes, right? To folks who
what do you consider a non-violent crime?
Well, somebody's not getting hurt during the thing. So I mean, there's a bunch. Drugs, for example, or marijuana,
right? Or even just traffic stops.
Look at Sandra
Bland.
Sometimes it's folks like I mean, honestly, I just dealt with a kiddo in the last couple days who there was a warrant out for his arrest because he had made a deal and was going to do community service and forgot to turn the form in. So there's a warrant out for his arrest. And then he goes in there. He's going to have to pay money to get out. Sometimes. We haven't talked about this yet. You get charged for board by the state for being in jail.
Wait, what?
And then if you don't pay that board, you go back to jail and have to pay the board again.
When did that start?
Now tell me that.
I really recommend, if you haven't read Tony Messenger's columns yet.
I love Tony Messenger, right?
Read those because that's happening.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's happening right
now.
And
that's for the black community. You know that, right?
For
those that are poor.
It is definitely for those who are poor. Yeah, because a lot of the folks that he was citing are more in rural areas and a lot more white people. But yes, I do agree. And I mean, like you look at the breakdown racially right now, who's in jail.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge issue. You go, you look in the city, you see a whole lot, and then even statewide, nationwide, way beyond the proportion of folks in the population, right? You have way more black folks who are in jail.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, it just goes back. We talked about the vehicle stops.
Right.
I mean, if your interaction is more black people than should be are getting, based on the statistics, are getting stopped, then more likely more of them are going into jail. They're getting involved in the criminal justice system.
And we talked about this during the break, that the reason why they're doing this is because the jail is the new plantation. This is where they get
He
the free
didn't say
labor.
that. We said that.
Well, I said that.
Well,
no, I agree.
Yeah,
he didn't say it.
absolutely.
We have a 13th Amendment,
Okay.
which
means nothing.
prohibits slavery except if you're incarcerated.
Exactly. Right.
That's right.
Exactly. There's a Netflix.
Yes.
movie. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see that documentary?
Yeah.
That she did about that.
Juan told me about that documentary.
Okay. Yeah, it's
and I
really
watched
good.
I think it's called 13th.
13th
Yeah,
Amendment.
it's
13th.
really,
right.
it's really disgusting.
What's
Yep.
her name did that with the braids?
Yeah,
She did that weird
blanking on the
movie.
name right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay,
with
so
Oprah.
let's get back to the nonviolent crimes. Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay, so now we've just legalized medical marijuana
Yeah.
in Missouri.
Right.
Okay. I mean, we know that a lot of people that go to get locked up. What's the percentage? I think it's like 30%, or for drug related, or is it
I'd
more?
have to look at the statistics now. A lot of that is
That's
also
where my
federal.
fact checker comes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh,
a lot
also
of it's also
Yeah.
federal. So you'll see, especially if like you're transporting
Right.
long lines or something. But marijuana is still classified as in the federal system
Right.
as being a crime, and so that now they're talking about folks who would automatically lose certain rights if they get a medical
Yes.
marijuana card. Yeah.
We talked about that.
Get your gun taken away.
You get your gun taken away.
I
which
can't have a gun
Probably
anyways.
works.
Well, I can't have a gun.
I don't
anyways.
need a gun. I'm too
I'm nuts.
dangerous with one.
You rode with me. I'd shoot somebody if I had
Oh,
a gun
yeah.
driving
well,
down the road.
well, then good that you don't have one.
Me-
Right,
I
I know.
hate this- I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I have
dirty
a
knows.
very bad
Dirty
temper.
knows.
Dirty
he does
knows
not need
the
a
lines.
gun.
Dirty knows
Exactly.
the
Because
limits.
if Dirty knows,
Aw.
if Dirty has a gun,
Yeah.
somebody's in
Right.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talked to Kevin, Kevin, really good dude, and we talked about
Yeah.
the opiate crisis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, again, that goes back to Attorney General.
You can. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, what would your plan be as the Attorney General to kind of help with the opiate crisis?
Yeah.
Like, what like reforms would you put in?
We got to go after the drug manufacturers.
Yeah,
we got to go after the
exactly.
pill pushers, the folks who put that out there,
Yep.
the medical community that was pushing it, and some folks they weren't really being doctors at the time. They were just trying to get big money from these prescription drug companies.
Yep.
That's a big problem. So we've got to really push that. But I think there's again, if you are the chief law enforcement officer, you can convene folks from all over the state. We've got a few task forces right now that deal with drugs in general. But the opioids, I mean, it's a big issue. I know folks who've lost their lives as a result of it. Addiction, whole bunch of stuff. People who have chronic pain problems now because they got addicted to it. And now they can't. That's just their normal.
Right.
Yeah.
So the hopes for them is, I think with medical marijuana, because we were limiting the research we could do on it for so long, we're going to need to do a lot more, and it's coming out now. We have more people who are using it. I hope that works for a lot of folks. And we need to find ways to help folks who are dealing with that problem. But I think we really do need to prosecute the people who put us in this position.
Absolutely.
Well, I like how you said pill pusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my real 9 to 5 is kind of in the medical.
Yeah.
The medical thing. There was a certain individual and it was all in the papers in Warrenton, Missouri. Mm-hmm. Do you kind of know who I'm talking about?
I feel like I'm going to know where the story is about to go.
A
Yeah.
doctor that was pushing
Uh-huh.
unnecessary pills.
Yeah,
that
it's
he-
like hundreds and thousands of pills are just going to folks.
Yeah. So isn't it that we have to go into the pharma and go to the doctors and kind of regulate that
I think
to help that?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that's involved. I think you do have to go. I agree, you do have to go into pharma. I think that we're finding now that there are more and more practices by pharmaceutical companies to make a lot of money and push these drugs as much as possible. I think the medical community wasn't quite ready to deal with that situation.
Right.
And another problem is, we were really. I've listened to a lot of kind of podcasts. And I'm not a doctor, medical doctor. I'm a JD, so I kind of basic doctor.
Okay.
But not a medical doctor. And so but a lot of the issues were that folks were focusing a lot more on comfort making people comfortable. And I feel like that's a big problem in general with a lot of social issues too. But there's so much of a focus on ending pain instead of thinking about where pain's coming from and what that's signaling. And obviously, if it's a huge amount, we don't want you feeling that, so you've got to take something for it. But I think the pharmaceutical companies took advantage of that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Some doctors definitely did the wrong thing. A lot of doctors learned from that situation. I think that there's opportunity there to work with the medical community to find, and I think that's happening. That can happen right now.
I think I used to also work in the medical field, but not in the field that you were in. I was actually at a hospital, and I think a lot of the doctors are also beginning to say, you know what, this is a problem.
Yes, exactly.
And we need to correct this.
Yeah, it's happening in a big way right now.
Big time.
Very big
time.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're feeling kind of attacked.
Yeah.
Thinking that people are saying that this is basically your fault.
Right.
But not everybody, because I'm very much into holistic medicine.
Yes.
I like natural. I'm not really. I think the only thing I really take is like an aspirin every now and then, or ibuprofen.
Yep.
Exactly, right. Hello.
Yeah.
So here you go. We have Jim Harris said, he lost his nephew. Again, we go back to the opiate.
Yeah, exactly.
And the painkiller. Thought he lost his nephew to heroin.
Yeah.
When it was actually fentanyl.
Yeah.
I just wrote that. You do that all the time.
I'm reading it. It was
He
actually
reads my
Harris.
mind. It's really scary.
It's Harris reads your mind.
But
reading the
yeah, because
comments.
I just wrote down fentanyl because we talked about that with Kevin.
Yep.
I had no idea that was such a big problem until
Yeah.
Prince passed away from that.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that?
Yeah, they have those
Isn't that
patches
something?
that they were giving folks.
Patches
Yeah,
with-
it's a fentanyl patch, so it slow release kind of, so you
Okay.
have it continuous.
Right.
There's a lot of these pain management clinics where they give you a shot, or they'll give you a fentanyl patch, or some of the bigger ones. But fentanyl is extremely potent, and folks were trying to, they were dealing with the pain versus what's causing it.
Exactly.
And for me, so I was talking about football a little bit, but I'm not the biggest guy in the world.
I can't believe you played football.
And I did, yeah.
His
Actually,
name's Big E.
All
Big E.
right.
I was on a D1 football team, believe it or not.
Oh my
What?
goodness.
Yeah, we didn't win a single game. We were really bad. I got cut 3 times.
What
and I played
school?
rugby. Duke University.
All right,
Oh,
Duke.
Jesus,
Okay.
you went to Duke?
I-
Wait, hold on.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
So we're actually sitting with somebody who went to Duke University?
Duke University.
That
All
is
right.
accurate. Yeah,
The
that
Blue
is true.
Devils?
The Blue Devils. Oh yeah.
Maybe with
All
Blue
day.
Devils. Okay.
Championship
you-
coming soon, everybody.
Did you ever get to see Coach K?
Oh yeah.
Is he a nice
Oh,
guy?
it was really cool. One
Or is he a
time
dick?
I was in the parking lot. He's super nice guy.
Okay.
Really nice guy. He does classes on his own, leadership classes, talks to the student body all the time.
Okay.
Make sure, because we camp out before the games.
Right.
We're tenting.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's wonderful. He always treated us really well. So.
I have a question then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, being that you went to Duke University,
Yeah.
but we've talked about this with the D1 schools and all that
Yeah.
stuff. What are they doing in the schools? Because you're saying you were a D1 athlete.
Yeah. For a little bit, yeah.
I'm not
A
saying,
very
but
bad one. Probably the worst one in the entire country.
But I'm
right
saying,
here.
okay, because
You're
during
going
the
to switch
break.
topics, aren't you?
No. Well, this
Okay.
is something I want to know.
Yeah, okay.
We were during the break. We were talking about, Linda was saying how you could shoot a ball or hit a ball or
Right.
run with
Yeah.
the ball. You make millions of dollars. What are they teaching those kids in school to say, look, yeah, you're good to go to that next level.
Yeah.
But what are they teaching them to help them sustain that career or that life
Right.
after
Lifestyle.
after that career's over in sports?
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Yeah, it depends on the school that you're in and the program. I think one of the best connections, just based on my experience, the best connection for student athletes is their coaches and the other players there. So if you have a really strong, because you learn so much through sports, and that's kind of the idea initially, and then we made it to a billion,
exactly.
trillion soon, I'm sure.
Now kids are dying on the field.
Yeah.
Because the coaches are like, get out there and play, even though you're passed
And
out.
yeah, there's a lot of safety issues. I had a few concussions playing football myself. I know other friends of mine have too, and yeah, it's not great. There's actually a lot of teams in our area right now. Some high school teams that can't even really field a team anymore. They have so few folks coming out for it.
Good.
That's talking about football in general. Now there are other injuries that come with it, and it's really interesting to kind of go into those studies too. But that's kind of besides the point. But what the colleges are doing, I think that some of them are doing it the right way, where they have academic support centers and they're giving a lot more attention to athletes, more than even other students are getting. I think that's right on a lot of levels, especially since they're working so hard. They're spending so much time doing these sports and the practices and the games and the traveling. So I think they should get a lot of extra resources there too.
Right.
Some schools are not doing the right thing. Some of them are filling out the exams and the homework for them.
Oh, yeah.
That is not helping anybody learn. There's some schools are doing it better than others. We've got a lot of problems because these schools are making a lot of money off these kids. And then the question is, how much are they returning to them? So,
there you go.
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
All right. You go, Dirty.
Look at that. That's great.
Now speaking of that, since we're talking about football, which
Right.
of course, I'm boycotting this season because I stand with Cap. But anyway,
Yeah.
the whole Penn State thing.
Yeah.
Did that surprise you? When you heard about that, we're talking about the rape or the child molestation.
Well, it's
the Joe
child, yeah.
What was his name?
Joe Paterno.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe Paterno.
Have you guys seen the movie?
Yes, he was the one.
Okay,
But it was Jerry Sandusky.
Jerry Sandusky
He was the one
doing
that was
it.
butt
But
diddling
Joe,
little kids.
but he
Right.
knew.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe covered it up.
Yeah, he
Joe
did.
covered it.
So
But Jerry was butt diddling
Yeah.
kids.
Thank you, Dirty. We really didn't need that, but okay. So what were your thoughts about that? when you heard that?
what
Was
happened
that
there is
scary?
absolutely terrible. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, can you imagine? So, just thinking about like the parents, of those kids,
Right.
and then you think like, even if you sent your kid to a camp and you don't know, your kid is not the one who's coming up. You're just thinking, oh my God, like what did I do? And as a parent, you start to have a heart attack, feeling like, what did I do? Like, was this bad parenting? Did I put my kid at risk? Is it my fault for not knowing these folks? But this is another situation where somebody in power took advantage of their power. They
Okay,
took advantage
now-
of the trust that was put in them.
I raised my son by myself.
Yeah.
And he was always in sports.
Yeah.
And we grew up in the Overland area. He grew up in the Overland
Yeah.
area. He used to play AAA baseball, I think it is.
Oh,
AA
really?
baseball, right?
Wow, okay.
And there was a coach there that was always like, Miss Brown, you don't need to bring him. I can pick him up and drop him off. I'm like, no, I'm good. I mean, to the point he came over to the house one day and sat down in my kitchen and said, I don't understand why you don't want me to pick up your son. I said, okay,
Yeah.
let me be real honest
Yeah.
with you.
It's like, let me
I
do
don't
that.
trust you.
It's like, I don't know
I
you.
don't.
Yeah.
Why are you
Right.
making this such an issue?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think parents need to. Unfortunately, we're so distracted.
Yes.
With most of them working 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's a relief to say, oh yeah, my son is going to with this. You've got to start asking the tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
You said something on your show last night that really resonated with me, and I think we talked about it, and that was the video games.
Uh-huh.
And because he has a 12-year-old, Zach is 12-year-old
Yeah.
son, and
Mini
I have
Dirty's 12.
and a little dirty, and I have a 10-year-old grandson,
Yeah.
and they play those video games where they're,
Sure.
I guess they're talking to people.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
yeah.
We
and-
played the video games
Right,
on
sure,
Xbox
yeah.
and all that.
and he
Yeah.
was saying that there was somebody making very derogatory comments
Right.
to kids, and
Yep.
I told my grandbaby, I said, whenever you're here, I'm going to listen to who you're talking to, and if they sound like they're too old, I'm going to get on this thing,
Right.
because parents have got to wake up
Yeah.
and realize that this is a very dangerous world now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And stop being so freaking complacent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
had to say
I mean,
that.
well, yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that. So
Okay.
let's go. Another big issue that's going to affect you as Attorney General is the bullying issue.
Oh, yeah.
And the cyberbullying issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and you see now we really have nothing in place
Right.
for that.
Right.
On a statewide, I mean, hell, even a national wide
Right.
initiative. So when you, not if, but when
you
you are
come.
elected in 2020,
Absolutely. Yeah.
what is Big E, Elad going to do? What would be your, like a parent comes to you and
Yeah.
they're talking about the bullying and saying, hey, what are you going to do to help my
Yeah.
child?
Yeah.
And because we're noticing in the rural schools, like you said, a
Yeah.
lot of school shootings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you going to make our schools safer as the Attorney General for our kids?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is
Good
great
question,
because there was something. So I think one of the most important folks that we connect with on these kinds of issues, both folks are talking about, is the kids who are involved.
Right.
And oftentimes, and I've been seeing this for a long time, working with a city school district, getting better. It's getting better. But oftentimes the voices of kids aren't really listened to, right? And so what happens with a kid? The kid goes off, doesn't think they can talk to you, or, a lot of times, we're talking about some of these situations with like sexual molestation or something else where there's such a big stigma attached to it that they feel unsafe talking about that, or that they are going to be ostracized for mentioning it. We need to really make sure that kids feel safe talking to the adults that they should be trusting in their lives, right? And that's not something that an attorney general necessarily can, do something about.
Right.
But it's something that I think that, we have like really frank conversations with folks about how we talk to our kids and how we make sure that they feel safe doing it. A lot of times when you see bullying, it's a situation, you see it on the internet all the time.
Right.
And when you run for office, you get even more of it, which is really interesting. But, I try to listen to what other folks are saying and see maybe, we just have different perspectives. But sometimes, it's somebody who just needs a hug.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to ask for it.
Right.
And they just don't feel supported. They're frustrated. And sometimes you just got to get to that emotional part of their brain before you can get past what's holding them up, right? So I think a lot of that is really important, the conversation that we have. And I think that leadership in our state can really set a tone about that. We do have statutes right now that deal with bullying. I think that we can work with the legislature in terms of, seeing if that's working. Is it actually working in our schools? Is that making them safer? In terms of school security, it goes even farther than that, because now we're starting to see that it's not really all that safe to go to school depending on where you are.
Exactly.
And really, it's not even depending on where you are, because no one expects it until it happens.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Which is the scariest part of it.
Right.
Right? It's like everybody, oh, not here. Like,
Right.
that would never happen here. Yeah, there are a lot of problems
See,
with that. Yeah.
I say that all the I'm glad you just said
Yeah,
that because we've had this conversation hundreds of times, and you tell me if I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
As a white American, if it does not happen on our bubble, it does not happen outside. It doesn't happen. Am I right, or am I just?
There's a feeling. I think so. I think, what? I think if you're going to talk about, like, in racial lines, which I try not to do all that much, but I think that's probably accurate. Because there are a lot of folks in the black community who are experiencing this in a different way, right? They're experiencing, like, we were talking about shootings in schools, and then there are a lot of kids from, highly poor areas and predominantly black when we're talking about like urban areas because of segregation policies from a long time ago we've never really fixed. We're talking about, well, there's shootings in my street every day.
Yeah.
So my experience is like, this is always there versus, somebody's like, oh, this has happened for the first time ever. Like, never even thought that this would ever happen, right? Whereas there, you go to I went to Clayton for high school, and I don't think I ever walked through a metal detector. I go and I work at Career Academy. I'm walking through a metal detector.
Absolutely.
We've talked about that.
And do you think that's the reason why we have not had a shooting here? You know what? We have had shootings in schools, but they've been targeted. It hasn't been like the Parkland.
Yeah, I think
situation.
the incidence of like these mass shootings happening. They're awful when they happen, right? And they shouldn't happen at all.
Exactly.
But it's not like, it's not happening to the, level that like general gun violence in a street or neighborhood is happening. So when they happen, there's a whole lot of attention, rightfully so, because we really need to do something about that at some point, and way beyond that point right now. But yeah, I think that's probably why. There have been instances in our area where folks have brought guns to school, and thank God that not more has happened. But yeah, and at this point, we kind of have to make a choice about whether we're going to start locking down schools or whether we're going to try to find a different solution to that problem. There's a really interesting nonprofit that grew out of Columbine and Newtown, and it really focuses on that psychosocial aspect, that getting kids to reach out, getting the school to feel like a community where if you see that a kid isn't really fitting in or something else, that kid isn't put off to the corner like happens in so many schools. That kid is being embraced and talked to, and it's more of a family atmosphere, right? I think we need more of that, and unfortunately we're asking our schools to do a lot of work because we got parents who are working 2 or 3 jobs or whatever the hell else it is. So
and they just don't have the resources.
You're exactly
the schools
right.
Really don't.
You're exactly right.
Now you mentioned that you really don't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the bullying, especially the cyberbullying. However, now you've got kids, and I actually mentioned this to you when I saw it online a couple days ago. 8-year-old killing themselves, committing suicide because they're being bullied at school.
Yeah.
Now that would definitely fall into your jurisdiction. So how would you handle something like
Yeah,
that?
I think in general that there is. So if I might have misspoken,
okay.
but there is jurisdiction because there's statutes against harassment in the
Right,
state. We did
right.
change some of those. Well, we kind of streamlined some, so we might need to make more changes. For example, we didn't have really anything on the books for what Governor Greitens had done, and so we actually made a new statute that said you
Okay.
can't do that. Sometimes that's just the way it works. So I think so. Most of the prosecution that comes from the Attorney General's office,
Okay.
a lot of it is actually supposed to be done by local prosecutors.
Okay.
That's why we have them, right?
Right.
And in an instance where a local prosecuting office needs help, like for example, if it's in Dexter, Missouri, and there's a murder there, or like a serial killer or something, and they don't deal with that situation all that often,
Right.
then the Attorney General's office is there to help,
Okay.
right? So it's a lot of times it's more of a support role, and then would take on some of these prosecutions in the areas where they need help. So in terms of like the jurisdiction for what do you do in those situations,
Right.
usually that will fall on a local community, which I think is really good. But the Attorney General's job should be to support all of those situations
Right.
too.
Exactly.
And having conversations around like these bigger policy issues so that folks can focus on dealing with these individual ones, right? It's always, and you work in a nonprofit, it's always this kind of internal tear between working with this group of kids that and you're working with, and then this wider because there's so many kids in that exact same position. And a functioning Attorney General's office can allow prosecutors and local communities to focus on those local issues,
Right.
help them do that,
Right.
and also focus on these big policy ones by convening all of these folks, or at least like meeting with them, taking that information somewhere else. You do that job.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot of areas to collaborate. I think that the Attorney General's office needs to be far more collaborative than it has been.
Absolutely.
I think that's really the biggest strength that office can have.
That's sort of like what we kind of talked to Wesley about when we had him on the show. We were like, I know you're the prosecuting attorney, but what can you do to expand over to areas that are just being ignored?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're right. I mean, it
Right.
touches on everything. Touches on everything. We gotta get everybody moving together. And
Right.
as many folks as possible doing it.
Exactly. We just got a comment from the person that was on your show yesterday, my cousin Mary. She said, "Man, he's hitting home. Elad needs
you got one of my former
needs to
kiddos
really
who's
be
commenting right
heard."
now.
All right.
Shout out to
exactly.
Kyla Harbert. I see
All
it.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, again, and these are the kind of conversations that we have to have, and we're glad that we actually have a platform where you guys can do this, because we're not seeing the mainstream media having these types of conversations with you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Right.
I mean, look at like how much we covered. Like, look how in depth this is.
Exactly,
this show is
right?
wonderful. Everybody should be on it.
All right.
Everybody come to this show. This is great. I mean, this is like.
Same
Do you
thing
know
Kevin
what show
said.
this is?
This is One Nation.
All
okay.
right. Yes, he knows.
Oh yeah, I do.
Just
I know
sure.
where we are right now.
All right.
This is the One Nation Network TV show
Absolutely.
right now. That's what we're on.
All right.
Get it
That's a
out
good-
there.
that's a
yeah,
good plug.
right.
That is a
Yep,
good plug.
absolutely.
Hey, I'll do it. Look, because these are the important conversations we've got to have.
We have
I'm
to.
so happy. Your story is just like hitting home with me so much because so much of what I wanted to do around the state was right after the election 2016.
Okay.
All I could think about is we got to do stuff in between elections to fix things.
Right.
Let's get people in the room together
Right.
who might be from different backgrounds, might not agree with each other on everything. Hang out, have some food, share a good time, and then find some solutions to the problems.
Absolutely.
Shit, that's the
The only
kind of
thing missing is food.
That's the kind of stuff we talk about. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
funny because I told Linda, I was like, hey, you really got to watch this series on National Geographic. It was the Katie Couric series.
Oh, right.
Okay.
The Katie Couric
Okay,
series.
yeah.
What was it called again?
With-
Unhinged America, or
Right.
America Unhinged, or something. And Katie Couric went around America asking these type of questions.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. My friends are like, ooh, and I'm like, as I've gotten older, my views have always been very skewed compared to the normal white community. But as I've gotten older, I've become more vocal about them.
Exactly.
Which is good.
And the sad thing is I brought it up on Facebook and I had said, we have white privilege. It was after we had interviewed Wesley. I'm like, white people have white privilege. And I had a friend chime in saying, oh no, we don't. I was that poor white kid that wore hand-me-downs. Guess what? Every white kid wears hand-me-downs.
And so
Every
do black kids.
Right, every kid wears. I said, but here's the question. I said, do you get up every single morning and do you fear for your life? Do you fear to go to work?
Right.
Do you fear to come home from work?
Right.
Well, I'm like, it's a very yes or no question.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to, and me and Linda have talked about this. I've said it many a times. I have 6 children.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They're all this skin color right here. Right here. So automatically this skin color gives us privilege.
Yeah.
Whether we want to believe
Right.
it or not.
Yeah.
I've never had to have a conversation with my children saying, hey, if it's 4 or 5 of you in a car, be careful.
Right.
Because you could get pulled over and you could get shot. She's had to have that conversation with her child.
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
the sad thing in America today.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that's if we think of this show, if we could just change one person's thought
Yeah.
to say, let's go talk to my neighbor who might be an Arab, or who might be a black person,
Right.
or might be Jewish, or might be Asian. And let me go talk to them.
Yeah.
And see who they are.
Yeah.
How do we change that? How do we get every
Well,
other
by what
white
we're doing.
privileged piece of shit?
Isn't he horrible?
See,
And
now
that's
I'm getting,
why he's dirty.
Look, now I'm
That's,
getting,
he's in it. He's
look, now I'm
Yeah.
getting passionate, because
Yeah.
I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
really
passionate
are.
about we're one nation, we're one race.
You're right.
We have let society
Yes.
dictate
Yes.
how we look at people and the labels that we add to
You're
people.
totally right.
Well, here's why. As
Okay.
long as I can keep you divided, you're so
Yes.
busy worried about what I'm doing. I'm over here doing all kind of things I don't have any business doing. Am I right?
You're right. Preach it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
He said, preach it.
Amen. I agree, and that's what we have to work so hard
Right.
to get past those divisions. If because they know that when folks stop focusing on these like stupid distinctions that just came out of where you just look different than me, so I'm going to make fun of you now.
Exactly.
If we get past that, there's nothing that can stop folks. There's nothing that can
Right.
stop folks from making this country work.
Exactly.
And that's what we got to do.
Right.
I agree.
I think we need to do a panel discussion with Elad, Kevin, and Wesley, and
boy.
just have them here.
Oh boy, that's a show right
And
there. Yeah.
yes, it is. And let them talk to our listening
We
audience.
would need to
You know
do
what?
that in a bigger form.
We'd have to find a forum to do that. But we can find a place.
Okay.
You know?
I'm glad you brought up Wesley.
Okay.
Okay. What does it mean
Oh, my goodness.
for St. Louis County?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in St. Louis County.
Yeah.
It is a very, very
Segregated.
segregated
Yes.
community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice place to live, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But it's very segregated.
Yep.
What does it mean for St. Louis County to vote? And I even hate it. I even hate when I saw it on the news when they denigrated and degraded him by calling him the
Inexperienced.
first, but no,
Yeah, oh.
the first black St. Louis prosecuting attorney. Mm-hmm. Why does he have to be black?
Well,
why
that's-
couldn't he have just been the newly elected St. Louis prosecuting attorney?
Because we've never had that dirty.
You're right. I understand.
You
that.
know what I'm saying? And it was a moment of pride for us. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, I know. 100%.
Right.
I agree with you.
Right.
Just, I thought it was degrading to Obama. I mean, yeah, it was great. He's the first black president.
And what did I say
But why
earlier?
did they have they just always kept saying, "Oh, the
Labels.
black president."
What did we say earlier about labels?
What's that guy's name?
Exactly.
Prince Riyadh.
Oh, right.
His,
The video he showed. I just uploaded a great video, and I hate we don't have time to show it.
I know, but I want to finish this one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it was a somebody did a short film
Mm-hmm.
about why does it take an emergency or a situation for us to realize
Yeah.
that we need each other?
Yes.
And it was basically showing a city that had flooded. And before the flood, there was a cop that lived
Yep.
next door, across the street from some Muslims, and he
Yep.
could not see. You could look the hate in his
Yep.
eyes. But when the flooding started, you should have seen all of them coming
Oh, they
together
were
and
right
working
there.
together.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that could happen to us right now is an alien invasion. Then we'll all have. I'm not going to worry about you being white. I'm not going to worry about you being a man. I'm just going to worry about who's going to save me.
Is
Am
he
I
not
right?
a man? Are you calling
Right.
Elad not a man?
I said no.
You just
worried.
Can
She's
I
not
use the
worried.
generalities?
I'm saying-
He's white. You're a man. You're both white men, but you know what I'm saying.
know, I'm giving you trouble.
I know you are.
So what does it mean for St. Louis County
Yeah.
to elect a black prosecuting attorney? What does that mean?
That's a lot.
I think so. So this conversation's right there. The reason that means something is because our system is broken.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
That's why. That's
There
why
you
it
go.
is so important.
Yeah.
Because the system is broken,
Right.
and now it's just like, wow, this happened in a broken system.
Yeah.
Right? I think it can mean a lot, and it was an overwhelming vote compared to what folks thought they thought the status quo was gonna be the same. We
Yeah.
were gonna get that. I know he's working very hard to make sure that this office
Right.
works, and it works in a different way because that's what people want.
Right.
They want change.
Right.
They want the system to work. They want America to do what it's supposed to do, right? And that was that vote. That's how he won. And there are a lot of hopes right there. I think he's gonna get it done. So I think
so too.
I think it means a lot. I know he's putting in the work right now. That's why he's not on the show.
Right.
'Cause he's working right now.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, very
Yes,
nice
he
guy.
is.
You know what? I think given what his vision is and what the vision of the folks who supported him, and if we can continue that support in the community and working with folks in the
Absolutely.
community, I think it can mean a whole lot. So,
All right.
Now that being said,
Well,
I
we got
want you
4
to know
minutes
that.
left.
Okay, I want you to know that you, Kevin, Wesley, you guys are more than welcome to
Curtis.
come on this show, Curtis, anytime. And once you become our new Attorney General for the state of Missouri,
Yeah.
if there's ever anything you need to get out,
Yeah.
and you know that we have a great platform to get it
Yeah,
out, that you
absolutely.
just let us know.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
All right,
Okay.
so
Well, thank you all.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just look right into that camera, right there in front of you. Just tell people
What
what
you'd
they
like
can
to-
expect
right.
from you
In 2020.
in your plans of making Missouri
Don't say great again. Please
taking back.
Taking back Missouri,
Taking-
that's for sure.
I
That's
like
his-
that.
You would let me finish.
I'm sorry.
He's
taking
working on it.
back
He
Missouri.
got there and he had to pause. He's like, I gotta go back on that one.
Yeah, because
Hold
he's
up.
going to say
Right
make
there.
Missouri
Look at
great
that camera
again.
Yeah, I'm
and
looking
tell
at that
people
camera.
what you want to do by taking
Well,
back Missouri.
I mean, I am so excited. This is such a huge opportunity for folks in our state to take back our government and make sure it is responsive to us. Right now we have not only an attorney general, but we have a lot of government officials who are not protecting our rights. They're protecting money from powerful donors that we don't know.
Right.
We don't get to see. That has got to change. We need a responsive government that's focusing on the needs of the people. And in order to do that, we need people to be that voice, to come out, to vote, like Dirty says, to come out and show their power. Because once we get people together, once we get one nation rather than a divided one, that's when we start to see real change. And that's how you're starting to see some big wins in certain areas.
Yes.
That's how we're going to get changes to our government, for example, our criminal justice system, our jail practices, support for police officers, support for our teachers, for everything. We know that there are right ways to do things,
Right.
and we're doing them wrong. And we continue doing them wrong because our leadership doesn't exist. It pretends like it exists. People come out every 4 years and say the same darn thing, and they don't get it done. This campaign is going to get it done because we're going to model all of the work that we're going to do as Attorney General, we are going to do as Attorney General in this campaign. And that's our Transparency Tuesdays.
Right.
We're already putting information about our expenses every single Tuesday. We've done it already today.
All right.
3 days, 3 weeks in a row, and we're going to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're modeling transparency. We're going to hire and train Missourians to have a voice in their government, and we're going to focus on community service and bringing people together. That's what the state needs desperately. That's what we need in our leadership, and that's what we'll get when you vote Elad Gross, Big E, Attorney General.
Big E.
2020.
All right.
Get it done.
And Big E.
Volunteer, please.
There you go. Feel free to like our One Nation page. Anything you need to post on there, feel free to do so.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for being
Great.
such a this is a huge community resource, so thank you all for
Oh,
what
thank
you're doing.
you.
This is great.
Thank you.
Well, with that being
Good
said,
said.
this is One Nation Network. I am Dirty, sitting over there every Tuesday from 7 to 9. Directly across from me, to my left, is my lovely co-host, the one, the only,
Lynn B.
and the guest of the hour, the 2 hours, the guest of the show, the
Absolutely.
newly elect, the soon-to-be,
Right.
St. Missouri Attorney General, who is going to take Missouri back, the one,
Right.
the only.
Elad Gross, let's take it back.
Gross. Absolutely.
And with that being said, people,
we're out.
anything else, Linda?
Nope, I
Hey,
think
go to
that's
our
it.
page. Make sure you go check our
Right.
sponsors out.
Thanks, Mary Cochran. My cousin hits. She's like, oh my God, this show was great. So hey,
Check
woohoo!
us out. All the sponsors.
Right.
Stacy's Novelty Gibson, Mid Rivers Mall.
Right.
Joni's Pizza, South Broadway Athletic Club. Didn't we have? No.
Spoken Word Press
Spoken Word
2010.
Press.
You can find all my books on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and they're available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
And Make sure you go check out One Nation Network TV. Go and like it.
Right.
We have the YouTube page. What's the YouTube page, Linda?
YouTube is One Nation Network TV, and
have
also
the
our
Twitter?
website. Twitter is still under Linda Brown.
Well, the
It wouldn't
website's
take that.
coming. The website's coming.
Okay, the website's coming.
January.
All right, we gotta
January
make some
7th. The
changes to that.
website's going to be launched.
Okay.
And hey, check us out this Thursday. I will be here with Commissioner Jim Harris for the MMWA show. With that being said, I'm Dirty. That's
Lynn B.
and the man in the middle is
Elad Gross.
we are out.